We should be live.
Hopefully, kinda, sorta, maybe. Not really. We don't know. We're gonna find out.
Maybe so. Oh, we're live. All right. Joel, run the
Sweet.
intro. Hello and welcome to episode 141. That's right. It's a palindrome episode, Connor,
Wow. Yeah. Sure.
of the Pixel Street podcast. Where each and every week we get together and talk about one of the things we love most, that thing being video games. Some of them better than others. Um,
Do you think there's any like video game palindromes, like either terms or games that could be considered like palindromes, or the same played backwards and forwards?
like in terms of gameplay or like the name?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I mean, it would maybe be hidden quite a bit more, but like retracing your steps through some areas, a la Majora's Mask or so on and so forth. I guess it's a little different. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. That's an interesting thought. A game that kind of you play in one direction for the first half and you're playing in the other direction for the second half. I'm sure like sports games do that thing, right? Like racing games have courses where
I mean, in reverse,
maybe
but
it's not
it's
a
not the
palindrome, of
same.
course, but
Yeah, it's not the same in
right, right,
reverse.
yeah, yeah. So
But yeah, today we're going to be talking about Sony reversing the shutting down of the PS3 and Vita digital stores. The Vita lives; they cannot kill that thing, no matter how hard they try.
it's true. It's like a
Um,
Nokia.
yep. CD Projekt Red, only refunding 30,000 copies. Like that's a lot of copies if you think about it. But we'll talk about it in a bit. Um, yeah, and those are the two main things. And we got a bunch of quick news we're going to talk about, including a cute little Pikachu thing. But before we get to that, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. First, you can follow us on Twitter at Pixel Street, where we post, when we're going live here on YouTube and Twitch, when the podcast is going up every Friday morning at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. And yeah, you can look at our pin tweet there to join our Discord server. There's an invite there. We've been doing game nights. We've been trying to do one a month, so definitely check that out. I want to play this game, Connor, called What the Dub. Have you heard of that?
No.
I was playing it with some friends last night. It's basically a Jackbox game where it came out like a month or two ago. It's basically a
Okay.
Jackbox game where it has like an old time like movie scene, and then you got to fill in the blank, and then like a robot reads your text what you put. So
Okay.
like it can get real funny. But yeah, I want to play that for our next party night if we can. But
Hmm.
more info on that in the near future. Also, you could go check us out on YouTube. If you're watching right now on Twitch or YouTube, you can see our YouTube channel here. Just search for Pixel Street videos there, and you'll find us. We're trying to get that 100 sub mark so that we can get a custom URL, which would be fantastic. We're at 43 right now. We've gotten a few the past few days. I want to give a quick shout out to Loops, uh, fan of the show, friend of the show, probably listening right now live, but in MLB The Show 21, it is very convoluted to try and play just an online match against your friends with real life baseball teams and not like your Diamond Dynasty team, which is basically like your ultimate team, if you know what that
Oh,
is.
sure.
But it's very confusing to do. So John made a guide for GamePer.com. Go check that out. But then Loops came up with the idea. He's like, you guys should make a video of this because like he was seeing people ask it on Twitter all day. So I told John, I was like, hey, can you make a video real quick? And like within 20 minutes, he had this video posted. And it was
Hmm.
only posted 2 days ago, 420 Blaze it 2021. You know what I mean? And we're already sitting at
If you know, you know.
over 3,000 views. So shout
It's
out
a
to
lot.
Loops for the idea. That's probably the most views we have on the channel for any video so far. I think the second most viewed video on our channel is um, the unboxing of my Master Chief statue. The guy that's you can't see him in this view, but he's right behind me. But yeah, shout out to Loops for the idea for that. So yeah, go check out our YouTube channel. Me and John have been playing some MLB The Show games. We have our first of 5 games in a series up where me and John play each other. I'm the White Sox, he's the Cardinals. I'm sure we're gonna have one or
Are
two
you
more
gonna let the
games.
people know who won number one, or do
No,
they got to watch
you
to
gotta
find
watch.
out?
You gotta watch for
Oh,
that,
okay,
man.
all right. Get those clickbait views. Yeah.
Yeah, get those clickbait views. Yeah. But other than that, we've been streaming on the YouTube channel too. Every time I stream on Twitch, I've been streaming on YouTube. So yeah, definitely go check us out in all those places. Finally, wherever you're watching or listening, be sure to leave a like or a rating and let us know how we're doing, good or bad. We want to hear the bad feedback just as much as we want to hear the good. So yeah, that sums it up, man. Let's get
It's the
into
whole thing.
some news. First and foremost, Sony reverses their whole. They were trying to shut down old like online stores for the PS3, the PlayStation Vita, and the PlayStation Portable. And the PlayStation Portable is still getting shut down, but they walked back their statement a little bit and said, "Well, they heard enough fans cry out saying, "Hey, like this sucks," to where they're like, "All right, we're gonna keep the PS3 and PS Vita stores open." What do you
Yeah,
what do you think? What do you take away from all of this?
yeah, it's still kind of developing situation. So I expect to hear maybe a little bit more around that stuff in the future. But um, it's very strange to me that Sony of all people came out and they walked something as heavy as this back, because they're pretty notorious for not being very transparent in a lot of their decision making process and whatnot. And when they are, they're absurdly blunt. For instance, um, I think it was Jim Ryan. You might remember this, but around the time that Microsoft was getting real hot on all the backwards compatibility stuff, somebody had asked one of the heads at Sony if that's something they were looking into, or if that's something that they were taking action on in any measurable way here in the future. And they said, and I'm totally paraphrasing here, but they said something to the effect of, "We've done the research, we've looked at the numbers, and people just don't play old games in the way that people say they play old games." And basically making the case for, like, yeah, everybody says it's real cool, but nobody actually does it. Which, I think there's a whole study that could probably be done on that stuff. But kind of wild, man. I did not expect them to kind of keep chugging on these after they made that announcement. The PS3 and Vita were fantastic platforms in my mind. I think the Vita was one of the greatest handhelds that somebody put out, but it was horribly under marketed and under supported, which was a massive bummer. Yeah, see, there you go, Vita.
I literally charged it today to buy a game on it.
Oh yeah. Uh that's good. Yeah, I mean, killer platforms, man, and the PS3 having is many awesome digital only offerings on there that uh potentially could disappear forever with the closing of those stores. When that inevitably does happen now, sometime off in the future. So, very happy to see it happen. Number one, I mean, I think that video game history is such a fleeting thing at this point. Like, you think about the track record of where we've come from in the games industry to where we are now, and there's so many important milestones that have either fallen off the face of the earth, or are inaccessible, or unplayable, or just little things that don't get archived in the way that we support historical records for other things. And it's definitely a bummer, because I think games are an art in my opinion, and should certainly be supported as such. So, um, yeah, cool decision from Sony here. I totally didn't expect it though, when people were complaining about it.
I don't think
For
anybody
me,
did.
yeah, yeah, and for me, personally, I don't care too much. Is I got my fill out of those, and there's nothing I can think of that I'd really want to go back and touch or play. But the Vita, especially, I mean, there were a wealth of titles that were available exclusively digitally on that platform, and uh, through both their weirdness on the whole Vita memory card situation and just support for the Vita overall, it's nice to see that they're not just going to kill that and make that stuff inaccessible. That there at least will be a few more years out of it at this point. So, um, my wish for this is please take it a step further. Maybe let's do some work and see if backwards compatibility or some kind of, whether it be their PlayStation Now streaming service, some kind of way to access those older titles on newer platforms, so that shutting down old stores like this isn't such a big deal. They can make the closure on that storefront, and those things can be accessible elsewhere, or whatever the case may be. So um, I hope that's the takeaway. I doubt it is, because it's going to take money, resources, and Sony's been pretty adamant on the fact that they don't want to spend money on that in the past. But yeah, that's like my hope of direction that they're pushing from this.
Yeah, I mean, I got to give another shout out to Loops because I think I bought this Vita from him like a few years ago,
Oh,
like 8 years ago for pretty cheap because he didn't want it anymore. But yeah, well, like when you talk about video game like preservation, like
yes.
that becomes a huge deal when you're talking about that generation specifically, because that
Hmm.
was really the first generation that was like you were able to buy like any game you wanted digitally, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
like the fact that that's a thing as well is kind of shitty. And like you said, there's a lot of games that probably only existed digitally on those consoles. I don't
What do
know
you
if
think too about weirdo situations like the Mass Effect remaster that's coming out, the Mass Effect Legendary Collection or Edition or whatever they're calling it?
mhm.
There are DLCs that are not included in the Legendary Edition because the code for those DLCs has just been lost. It's just fucking gone.
That is
Like
bizarre to me.
I know it, but that's the age that we're quickly moving to at this point. Like, digital future's here. It's not coming. It's already here. Most there, what are the numbers from the last statistics that Sony put up? It was something like 60% of gamers now buy digital over top of physical media. So like the scales have already tipped. We're in a digital future, and companies still have no good solution for it.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that scares me about buying digital is like at some point in the very, very, very distant future, Sony, Microsoft, they're gonna have that option to like, all right, you just can't download these games anymore. You know what I
Right?
mean?
I don't even think it's distant, you know?
Like,
When you think about it,
it's one like Sony was gonna close these stores, but they also said, at the same time, if you already own a game, you'll have no problem, going on there to download it. But like
sure,
in
yeah.
the 10,
Those servers
20,
will get
30
killed
years,
eventually.
yeah, they're eventually gonna get
Hmm.
killed, and because they don't want to, support, like why waste their I don't know. But then again, it goes
Yeah,
back to
yeah.
what you're saying is why can't they migrate all of this old stuff into a new, like integrate it into the PS5 store. While yeah, maybe you can't buy it on the PS or play it on the PS5, you'll still be able to buy it and then somehow download it onto your old consoles.
Yeah, some kind of solution that's better than, well, I guess you're just shit out of luck on your old copy of, uh, you know, fill in the blank for whatever console. So, it's long gone are the days of finding millions of copies of ET buried in the desert somewhere. Yeah, that's not gonna
I
happen
mean,
with,
it,
you
it
know.
definitely an alternate option would be like I said, migrating it all to a current day like
Yeah.
platform, like online marketplace, because back in like I think the early Vita days, you could I'm trying to think. There were certain game like PS1 classic games you could download on your PS3, but
Hmm.
you could not download them directly to your Vita. But what you could do is plug the USB port from your Vita into your PS3 and then install that game to your Vita to be played on your Vita that way.
Interesting.
Which is like
Huh.
why can't like there when we talk about video game preservation, I think that's something that's possible, right? Bring all
Yeah.
these games over to, the PS5, PS6, whatever, PS7 marketplace, let you buy those games, download them onto like an external hard drive, and
Hmm.
then plug that external hard drive into your PS3 and be able to play those games.
Yeah, in that's why I'm so thankful to Microsoft for the work they've done with backwards compatibility. I don't know that they're specifically trying to champion the whole preservation route of things, but they're at least taking steps in a direction that helps preservation. And that's what I'd like to see out of Sony. There's got to be some kind of workaround, some kind of alternate option, or just better option than what we have at this point. So, um, yeah, great that they're leaving it on for right now. I think it's awesome. Kudos to PlayStation. They really needed a win lately because they've had a whole lot of negative press going around, and good for them. I'm glad it happened. I just also don't want it to be the end of this conversation. I don't want it to be we talk about this again in 5 years and then they just shut it down for good. What are you doing to make this stuff available for years to come, or to have an alternate solution, or whatever it is. Like, obviously companies are so gung-ho against piracy, and I think there's a lot of great reasons that you should not be a pirate, but at the same time, a lot of these games are just inaccessible. They're unplayable. For example, I've been doing a deep dive on a lot of old fighting games recently with one of my buddies, and you would be surprised how hard it is to access some of these old titles and find working copies or getting some kind of multiplayer. And it's all third party or modding community that's doing this kind of stuff, which is great. But it just shows that these companies, like, they put this stuff out, they make their money, they don't care, they move on, and it's a real shame to see that happen to the game industry.
Sorry, my dog's taking a huge shit on the ground right next to me.
Oh,
But
rock and roll. Hell yeah.
video games. But but yeah, I mean, going back to like Sony really needing a win and this kind of being that, like, like a small victory for them.
Yeah.
I almost feel like they acknowledge that they're like, they're just getting Microsoft is wiping the floor with, their consumer friendly like practices lately, right?
I know.
And they
Yeah.
had that. I have a feeling that this move is them like acknowledging that, like, all right, we need to do something that makes us look good, because everything they've been doing seems like it's been making them look
Yeah.
bad, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I, I don't know. I always go back to the hard drive of the PS5, how it's 800 and whatever gigs, and then that's before the software, the OS, the operating system. So really, it's
Yeah.
less than that. And the fact that there's no like upgrade options yet, because apparently no M.2 drives are fast enough or good enough to.
Yeah. I think they just announced, like, or maybe it was the latest update that came out, is they now have support for it, but it's a pretty slim list of things. And it's really not a great solution either. We could talk forever about that. The point is, yes, Sony's had a lot of weird press recently, and they really could take a page out of Microsoft's book here and just make some consumer friendly decisions. It's not something that's going to save you money as a company, uh, but who knows what your gain is? Who knows how many more people are going to migrate to your ecosystem just by making consumer friendly decisions? And that's the investment style approach that Microsoft's been taking, and I do hope this is maybe a turning point for them. Do I think so? Probably not. Jim Ryan still exists, but
Yeah,
we'll see.
yeah. Also, I did see that Sean Layden's still alive. I don't know if you saw
Yeah.
that.
Yes. I saw
everybody,
that recently
every,
as well.
everybody's been wondering where he went once he like resigned, retired. Nobody even knows.
Nobody knows what happened. Still to this day, I don't think anybody
It was just like it was like a
really
statement that
knows.
says like, "Hey, I no longer work at Sony,"
Right?
and then he
Yeah.
was gone.
It might as well have been written in crayon or something.
But yeah, he was he had dinner the other night, right, with Gio Corsi, the Vita guy.
Oh, sure.
Like I think he's the one that spearheaded like the whole Vita, process and everything. But yeah,
Operations and yeah.
um, moving on to another kind of controversial type topic. This one comes from Kotaku. CD Projekt Red refunded only 30,000 copies of Cyberpunk 2077. So only is like, yeah, like 30,000 copies is a lot, don't get me wrong, but compared to how many sold of this game, I
Yeah.
saw some numbers and it was like 0.3% of what was sold.
Yeah, so they put out a I think they had an earnings call today is what it is, and that's where the information came out of, and they were boasting that they sold 13.7 million copies of Cyberpunk. So almost 14 million copies of Cyberpunk. Like that's a lot of copies considering how not
Jank the
perfect
game
that game
is.
was. Yeah, sure. I was trying to say it a nice way, but the big question out of it came from obviously the whole refund situation. Like how many of these copies did they actually give people money back for? And I think the important thing to note here too is yes, comparatively this number's low, but remember that refund process also was really stupid. And there was a lot of cases in which people couldn't refund their copy, so I think that's an important part here because a lot of it was through retailers and places like Walmart. They don't give a shit. You bring them an open copy of Cyberpunk, and they're like, "Well, I guess you own a copy of Cyberpunk now."
Yeah,
They're not going to do anything for you. So, um, yeah, interesting. I was still expecting that number to be a lot higher,
same.
especially knowing that they sold almost 14 million copies. That's insane.
Yeah, yeah, and you also have to keep in mind, like, to get a refund, you had to go out of your way to do it. It's not like they were just like, "Oh, you bought our game on this platform, we're giving you a refund automatically." Like,
Hmm.
no. Also, good up on Sony for not having that on their store.
Yeah, still. So
Yeah,
that
they
that
took it
yeah,
down,
still.
and they still haven't
Yeah.
put it back up. Which is,
When do
yeah,
you think that? Do you think it has to come back, right? Like
it'll
there
come
has to
back,
be a day.
but I think it's not until that next gen update comes. At least
Yeah,
until
that's
then,
fair.
because I mean they're still updating the game. They just came out with like V 1.2, I think, like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, 1.21 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so who knows, man? Who knows?
So
That
speaking on that, they did announce during that investor call that they're targeting a next gen. If you didn't think it was coming, well, shocker, here it is. Spoiler: a next gen version of Witcher 3 and the next gen upgrade for Cyberpunk are both targeting the second half of this year. So, um, yeah, maybe we'll get Cyberpunk on PlayStation in 2021. Kind of,
I
sort
mean,
of. I'm
yeah,
gonna
I
play
don't
it on my
know.
PC anyway.
Yeah, I that's the thing is I played a bunch of it on my Xbox Series X, and it was fine, but I had so many bugs that it was just annoying that every time I
Yeah.
played I was like, what bug am I gonna run into today? Um, and so I ended up buying it on PC once I got my 3070, and it runs great on there. It's just like, do I want to invest, more time into it, or just wait until it's all patched up? So
Yeah. And that's the total approach that I'm taking. I have a save on that game where I'm up to the final mission and I'm probably just not going to beat it, and I'll wait until like a year and a half from now when that game's pretty cool, hopefully. And then maybe I'll play it fresh or something.
yep. Moving on to some other news. This is more of the quick news we'll talk about real quick. A new Battlefield game was kind of announced. It was, but it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't
Yeah,
officially
I
announced.
think
They just kind of came out and said like, "Hey, look out for an announcement coming soon about the
a
Battlefield game
reveal,
coming
yeah.
this year." Um,
I think they'd announced a Battlefield game. It was a real weird situation. I think it was like an earnings call or investor call or something. It was never an official press release where they said that they're working on the next Battlefield experience and that it was targeting 2021 or whatever. Something stupid. Um, and really no other information than that. And then yeah, wasn't it just a picture and that's it?
yeah,
It just says more details soon or something.
it's just a picture, and all it says is essentially just says Battlefield on it. So I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so the Dice Awards just happened, which shout out Hades, took home a ton of awards. Super deserves it. But maybe it was something that they showed at the Dice Awards and were like, "Hey, we're doing this thing." If anybody was wondering, which of course they are. Of course they're making
Yeah.
another Battlefield.
I mean, I think
You
another
know,
another piece of news that came with that is that they're making a Battlefield mobile game to come out this year.
really, I didn't
It
see that. Yeah.
it's a separate game. It's not attached to it at all, so it's not the same game. But
Huh.
I mean, it makes sense. Like they saw probably the popularity of fucking Call of Duty's mobile game, so
Right.
why not
Yeah.
try it?
PUBG Mobile, still one of the most popular mobile games of all
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for a new Battlefield, and just going on kind of right into the next topic here. Microsoft adds FPS Boost to 13 more Xbox games, many of which are from EA Access. And there's a
Yeah,
couple
EA
Battlefield
Play, yeah.
EA Play. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, I always called it EA
Access is
Access.
old. We don't talk about that
Yeah,
anymore. Yeah.
but yeah, some of them are Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, and Battlefield 5. So that's really exciting
Yeah.
because those games will go up to 120 hertz,
Yeah,
which
if
I
you
am
have
a
a
fan of.
supporting monitor
Yeah, yeah.
for that. So the one
Um,
exception to that is Sea of Solitude, smaller title. That one's getting boosted to 60 hertz instead of 30 hertz. It's 13 games in total. So um, yeah, I mean, three of them are Plants vs Zombies games.
yeah,
So what? The notable ones, though, like you said, Battlefield's on here. Mirror's
Battlefront.
Edge Catalyst, that one's kind of cool. Battlefront 1 and 2, which
Yep.
Battlefront 2, I bet is real hot in high frame rate. I bet that's a
Yeah,
good
I
experience.
I downloaded that for free on Epic Game Store because it was free for a
Hmm.
month, and yeah, it looked great. But I'll definitely hop back into it on Xbox since it does not have cross progression.
Yeah, I've got a way better. Yeah, I've got more time in the Xbox version.
Yeah.
I did want to point out that oddly enough, Titanfall 1 and 2 are on this list for
Why is that
120 hertz.
odd to you?
I don't know. They're Titanfall 1's so old now. Like
I
it's just
Yeah.
strange that they would do that, you know? In Titanfall 2, same kind of situation. Granted, it's a little newer. But it's also incredibly exciting because Titanfall 2 is a phenomenal video game. You should absolutely play it if you haven't. I love it. It's one of my favorite video games of all time, and I bet it feels real naughty in 120 hertz with just how clean that game is already. So, yeah, exciting stuff. Free updates, man. You gotta love it.
You got it. Yeah, I was just playing Titanfall 2 like a month and a half ago. So,
It's really good.
moving on. There is a new Pikachu photo printer from a collab between Nintendo and Fujifilm. Which, I mean, come on, look at this fucking thing. Like, this is
It
like
looks pretty good.
a
Yeah.
Pokemon Snap Pro's wet dream right here.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
clearly this is coming out because of Pokemon Snap coming out at the end of the month.
Oh yeah.
But it's worth noting that these what's it called? Like it's Fujifilm
Instamax, I think.
Instax Mini.
Instax Mini Link. Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth noting that if you already have one of these, it's compatible with the Switch. Um, it kind of looks like it's just like a little sleeve that it slides into this Pikachu thing.
Yeah. Like a silicone
Yeah,
case kind of thing. Yeah.
but I mean, yeah. Either way, this is pretty cool. I mean, I don't need one, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
nostalgic for
Some Snap
Pokemon
goodness.
Snap. Yeah, fiends.
I used to
Um,
know somebody that had the Game Boy Color printer
yeah,
back in the day.
that printer thing.
Yeah, that thing was terrible and really cool all at the same
I
time. So,
I think is that where you could print Pokemon Snap,
uh,
or was
I
that just a kiosk at Blockbuster?
yeah, probably the Blockbuster one. I think the Game Boy Color one was for something different. It was like a selfie suit. It wasn't selfies back then. I don't know. I've got a question. How do you think kids nowadays feel about Polaroid pictures? Is that probably not the weirdest shit to them? You know? Like, wait, I've got to
Probably,
shake my photo? What do you
but
mean?
I mean, like they're kind of been revived, right? Like I see them at
A,
Target
a
every time I
little.
go. So
But how much of that is just hipsters? You know? Like older hipsters.
I don't know. I mean, I have one.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's I guess you're the wrong person to ask then.
Yeah. So
Uh,
yeah, that's definitely a thing that exists if you're into that sort of thing. Moving on, Sony is testing a PlayStation video streaming service in Poland. Did you see anything about this?
I saw a little bit. I didn't see all the details on it.
So it leaked yesterday, I think. Just like a screenshot from their Twitter or somebody in Poland. I don't know, but this graphic PlayStation Plus Video Pass leaked, and apparently it's just them testing, I guess popularity in certain being able to stream certain movies that they own the rights
Yeah.
to, or make an agreement to, and certain TV
I you
shows. So
know, yeah, my gut reaction to this was, why on earth would you try to compete in this incredibly oversaturated market? But then I remember that Sony has the rights to fucking so much right now. They still have the Spider-Man rights, technically, for distribution and everything. So I guess they do have a pretty healthy lineup of stuff that they could justify this.
the thing
That
is,
said,
though, I
I don't
don't.
give a shit.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think the Venn diagram of gamers to movie watchers is that
Yeah.
big.
No,
And
there's no way, right?
if anything, this should just be like a Sony plus video pass or something that's separate,
Yeah.
like that you pay
Yeah. Why
$5 a
name
month
it
for.
PlayStation?
Yeah.
Yeah. You draw a good point. And was man, I maybe I'm getting it confused, but I thought I'd seen a story recently that they were going to be removing some of that stuff from sale on their gaming platforms, like taking some of that functionality out of movies, television shows, music, that kind of stuff. I might be mistaken, but I thought I'd seen that they were going to kind of be switching focus to primarily gaming. So it's interesting that yeah, this whole thing is weird, man.
Real weird.
Some execs said, "Hey, we need a competitor to Game Pass," and they said, "Well, what if we do movies?"
Yeah.
Sure, I guess. You know,
I mean, at Microsoft, that would have been like, you're fired, get out of here. But apparently, at
you're
Sony,
right.
they're like,
Yeah,
you know what? We're gonna test it.
do
And
it.
you know where the best test market is? Poland.
Poland.
They fucking love movies in
Oh.
Poland.
Yeah, that's one thing I know about the Polish. They fucking movies and movie subscription services. Those
So
are two
weird. It's
favorite
so
things.
Weird.
What
All
the
right.
fuck?
Well, I mean, that ends the news segment for this week. Let's talk about what we've been playing. What have you been playing? What kind of
Sure.
fighting games?
So I definitely am still playing a lot of fighters. Nothing crazy new yet. That being said, it sounds like there's going to be another Guilty Gear Strive beta soon. So real stoked on that. You boys going to be playing that. Aside from that, though, I did dip my toes in a couple new things, and I guess the first I'll talk about is Kentucky Route Zero TV Edition. So very long name. It is essentially a re-released collection or a remastered collection of an older point-and-click adventure game called Kentucky Route Zero. It was released in a serial, so I think it was 5 episodes that started in 2011. It was all a Kickstarter platform kind of thing, and they've since been collected, given some additional features and whatnot. And released on other platforms, because I think prior to this it was only on PC. So it's been something I've kind of kept up with over time and seen in my periphery that I really would like to try out but never got a chance to. And I thought this TV edition would be the perfect excuse to do so. Started on the first act. I cleared all the way through there, and I'm about to start the second act now. And it's a very charming little text adventure. It's a lot of reading, so if you're one of those that doesn't
Yeah,
do the
that's
whole
me.
text thing, yeah, it's totally not going to be your thing. But it's pretty cool. So you are a delivery driver, and you find yourself at a gas station with a dog, and your responses shape the entire story, and it remembers that all the way throughout. So kind of think of that Telltale or Life is Strange, the whole Square Enix kind of thing, where when you choose dialogue options, it's going to remember those choices for the rest of your experience through the series. So, um, for instance, when you start off, the gas station attendant asks you about the dog, and you have 3 different responses. You can say, "Oh, well, that's my dog Blue," or there's another name option, or you can say, "Fuck, man, I don't know, it's some random dog." And depending on what you say, it influences what happens. You're basically naming the dog there. You're kind of giving it its backstory, and the game really sinks its teeth into that sort of premise with engaging with how the player thinks, what their options and opinions on things are, and really swinging with that. So, yeah, you start as a delivery driver with a truck, and you're trying to make a delivery to an address that you've never seen before. You ask the gas station attendant, and he says, "Oh yeah, you can get there. It's just on the other side of blah blah blah. The quickest way to get there is to take the zero." And you are like, "Well, how do I get to the zero?" And you're given some really vague instructions. You got to go meet this random woman who apparently knows how to get onto the zero, which is this mythical highway. And it, the more you kind of uncover about the zero, the more you start to realize that the zero isn't really a concrete thing that can be nailed down or described. And it's almost like a temporal trip through this really crazy land where almost anything can happen. So you kind of liken it to almost Wizard of Oz in a way, where you end up in a totally different realm of space time. And yeah, it just kind of catalogs this adventure throughout. I'm very early in the process right now, but it's pretty charming for what it is, and I think it's going to be something I stick with and make it through. As it's had tons of fantastic reviews. I mean, the art's incredible, the visual animations that they've got going on throughout the whole thing when you interact with the environment is just very, very well done. So enjoying that so far. Pretty cheap collection. It's like 15 bucks. Um, not something you have to really kind of dedicate. And you can play in pretty small chunks too. I think that's maybe my favorite thing about it so far is uh you're saving pretty often, or you're hitting milestones pretty quickly in that game, so that you can pick it up and drop it whenever you need to. So um yeah, very, very interesting little title. I'll update more as I play the next couple acts of it. But um yeah, Kentucky Route Zero TV edition, real cool. If you're into that point and click text adventure stuff with real wonky narratives, this will probably be up your alley.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people playing that in the past few months. That
Hmm.
and also Disco Elysium. I think it came out with like
Yeah.
a big like I don't know if it's a remaster or remake. I don't know. Or like
Yeah,
or maybe it
Disco
just
Elysium, yeah.
I don't think it's a remake. I think it's like an all-inclusive edition with like all the DLC or something bundled.
Yeah,
But
like game of the year type of stuff. Yeah.
yeah, it kind of gives me a similar like vibe in terms of the gameplay when I look at the two
It's
of
a
those
little more
games.
RPG heavy for that, but they are very similar in terms of you're reading a lot. You have dialogue options, and it is kind of a hands-off experience in a way, where there's no action really inside of Kentucky Route Zero. I know less about Disco Elysium, but as far as Kentucky Route Zero so far. Like I am just a delivery man trying to make a delivery, and nobody will tell me where the fucking on ramp for this place is. So, like that's what's going on in my life, and that's my major struggle. So,
Gotcha. A Mighty Mouse in the chat, buddy of mine, Alex. He says it's a fully voiced version of the game for Disco
oh sure,
Elysium.
for disco, yeah,
So I guess
yeah, I think I remember seeing that. Yeah,
that sounds much more appealing to me.
yeah.
um,
Joel doesn't like to read.
I
Uh,
yeah, especially in video games, especially in video games.
I've
But
certainly got far more impatient over the years with video games. Like good voice acting, good narration. It's ruined me in a way that even when I started Kentucky Route Zero, I was like, man, I don't know about this. But so far, we'll see. Yeah,
yeah, moving on. I have been playing MLB The Show 21 almost nonstop.
shocker.
Yo, it's such a good game. Like, yeah, basically it's the same game as last year, which what sports game isn't? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
How do you make a new baseball game? You
yeah,
don't. You make the
yeah.
same one. You just make
You're
it look
not
better.
you're not reinventing the fucking game here. It's just
Right.
the same
Yeah.
game with updated features. Like there's new fielding features. There's new Diamond Dynasty tasks and stuff. It's just a lot of fun to play. Um,
I heard there's a really good stadium editor in this year's.
yeah, I haven't played with it at all, but I've watched
It
videos on
sounds
it.
super cool. I'm not a
Yeah,
baseball fan by any means, but when you start talking about weird nitty gritty stuff like that, it's just interesting to think about.
yeah, you could put like dinosaurs like in
Really?
the outfield. Yeah, there's UFOs and
Hell
stuff you could
yeah.
put in there. Like not in the field, you know what I mean, but like
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
outside of the field of play. But
Like,
I
don't
mean,
mess with our sacred game of baseball. But if you want to put a dinosaur outside looking into the baseball, we
exactly.
can do that. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, the game's on Game Pass, so you could literally download it for free and try it out.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I could, touch baseball for more than 5 minutes, which doesn't sound appealing to me. But for the low cost of free, maybe I would do it. Maybe I'd make a stadium.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Or just go on there and check out created stadiums that people have uploaded.
Oh man, I
There's
bet
probably
those
some
are.
really cool. I'd really need to get in there and
Yeah.
look. But yeah, I've just been loving the game. I just started my Road to the Show guy yesterday, and I've actually if you didn't know, the XCloud beta came out for iOS and desktop, right? So you can
Sure.
play it in a
Yeah.
browser, but you have to be invited to the beta. I have not been invited, but
Lame.
last week I got this Razer Kishi in the mail,
Ooh.
and I've I just realized today I was like, wait, I can use this and stream my Xbox over Wi-Fi to my phone. So today while I was working, I was just like in between work, like taking it at bat with my Road to
Yeah.
the Show guys streaming wirelessly, and it worked great. But I'm real excited to try out, XCloud because I haven't tried it since it first launched. Because when it first launched, we were still in the office, and I would just use Kenny's phone. Like I
Mhm.
brought my own controller and just tested his phone out with it once or twice. But yeah, I'd kind of be interested to see how that works on iOS. But yeah, either way, MLB The Show 21, it's on Game Pass. You can stream it on XCloud. It's a great game. Definitely try it out. I'm excited for when John comes on to talk about it because I think he's played it more than I have at this point.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't say he's played it more than me. I think he's just played different scenarios in the game, like different game modes. But yeah, also go check out our YouTube channel, Pixel Street Videos. John posted a tutorial there, which I looked, and since we started recording, has over 200 more views than when we started,
Wow.
which is
That's
wild,
exciting.
very wild. But yeah, I mean, it's a great baseball game. Other than that, I'm just gonna talk real quick. I've been playing Ring Fit again. I think I talked about it a little bit
My
last
wife's
week.
been jumping into that quite a bit recently, actually. So
Oh
I've
yeah,
been watching her do quite a bit of it. Yeah, that game's sweet, man.
it's so much better than I thought it was when they announced it.
Hmm.
But yeah, that game kicks my ass. Like the past two times I've played, no, last time I played, but when I played today during lunch, I almost vomited. Like legit because I had a headache going into it. I wasn't gonna play it, and I was like, you know what? I'll just play. Did the workout, and my headache just got worse and worse as I went on. I worked out for like 45 minutes, and then at the end, I just stood there like lightheaded. I was like, I might go vomit right now. And that same thing happened to me like 2 days or two workouts ago. So it was
Mm.
Sunday, I think. But that was just like I was doing an ab workout in that game, and man, that game really kicks your ass. And you wouldn't
Yeah,
expect it to. It's a video game.
I know, I know. That's my wife. What I think the funniest thing about Ring Fit is, and you having played more of it, maybe you could attest to this, but the timer for your workout
It's so
is
off.
only active. Yeah, it's only active when you're active.
Yes.
Like you have to specifically be in something, doing something. So it's not counting all the time. It's teaching you how to fight a boss or go through an
Mm-hmm.
area or anything. And I think that's hilarious because I'm
It is
always giving
funny.
her a lot of shit about it.
So
She's like, "Oh, I worked out for a half hour." I'm like, "No, you didn't. Look at the timer."
says 4 minutes and 35 seconds. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
right.
No, yeah, I always track it on my Apple Watch because my Apple Watch would be like, all right, you worked out for 45 minutes. Your average heart rate was 133 beats per minute.
Hmm.
This and that and the other. And then I look at Ring Fit, like the Ring Fit thing. It's like, all right, you burned 13 calories. Congratulations. Like, what the fuck are
Right.
you talking about?
Yeah. Nintendo's like, whoa, 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 hold up there, buddy. You think you worked off a little bit
Yeah.
of that quarantine fat? Well, guess again, you didn't work off enough of it. So let's get back to it.
Yeah. Come
It's
back
real funny.
tomorrow. Try again.
Yeah, you're right.
But
Bring your A game tomorrow. Yeah.
so since I started playing again, I've been doing the adventure mode more. Whereas
Hmm.
when I first started playing at the beginning of quarantine, I played adventure mode a lot, and then I kind of branched off just to do like the targeted workouts. So I would like do like three of the workouts for my upper body one day, next day do three lower body ones. But I've been getting
Yeah.
back into adventure mode, and I'm wondering like how long does that take to beat? Because like I've
Yeah.
played a lot of it, and I have not. I'm on. I just got to world 9, so I'm gonna look it up real quick.
I wonder. Yeah,
How many
you think that's on the
worlds
how long to beat?
in Ring Fit? 69 worlds.
Shout out best number.
Oh, hold. Okay,
Let's
hold
see.
on.
Ring Fit.
There are 69 worlds, with the first 23 being part of the main story. So 23 worlds, and you beat the story, and then there's just a shit ton of other worlds that probably have workouts and side quests. That is wild.
So how long to beat has main story listed as 35 hours completion time. Main and extra is 69 hours.
But yeah,
And
but
completionist is 160 hours.
that first of all, that's a lot of time for any game.
Right.
So,
Much less a workout game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
you're right.
is that time going off the Nintendo timer of how long you're active? Because if so, that could
Probably
be 10
not.
years.
Yeah.
That could be 10 years.
I was gonna say it's gonna be like a millennia or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
Ridiculous.
I've been enjoying my time with it. It's definitely a great game. Like I've been saying, if you have a Switch and you want to get active, pick up the game. It definitely like teaches you like good habits in terms of stretching and before and
Yeah.
after your
Yeah.
workout, and teaching you kind of like good form when it comes to some of this stuff. Because like there's some of this stuff that like I didn't know was like would have been a good workout, and then like they're like, oh yeah, do this. It's like, all right, I could do that. I might throw up, but I could do that.
Good chance I'm gonna puke all over your shoes right now, but I'll do it for you, buddy.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to continue playing it. I'm sure I'll be talking about it in weeks to come. So, what
Exciting.
else have you been playing?
Oh man, so the only other game on my list, aside from weirdo weeby fighting games that you gotta make fun of me about. By the way, Guilty Gear is badass, man. We're gonna talk about that sometime. Anyway, Ghost of Tsushima is a video game that I have finally dipped my toes into. So I owned a physical copy for my PlayStation 4.
And now it's
Never got
obsolete.
around to playing it. Right, yeah. So I never got around to playing it, and then I sold my PS4 to buy a PS5, but I bought the digital PS5. So my physical copy of Ghost of Tsushima does nothing for me. So I got rid of it forever ago and just neglected to buy it digitally because I was like, I already paid for you. I was mad about it. My own fault. I get it. Don't yell at me in the comments or anything. Don't write me angry or do. I don't care. Spend your time, waste your time on me. Yeah, so it was on a good sale. It was like $40 or something recently, and I had a little bit of store credit saved up at GameStop. I went and bought like a PlayStation card and used that for Ghost of Tsushima and popped that onto my PlayStation 5, and I've been slowly chugging my way through that. Um, that game is gorgeous, just like everybody says. It's very, very pretty. It's astonishingly good looking, which is real cool. I'm not super far in as far as a combat system or anything. I know that evolves in a little way throughout the game as you unlock the different styles and whatnot. So I have nothing to speak of on that. But narratively, I mean, the story is very compelling right from the get. I mean, that opening, war scene that goes on, totally not a spoiler. It's the whole game. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Is about war. But yeah, the first cutscene you see with the flaming torch, and you probably know if you played. It's real cool. It's motivating, and it certainly has me hooked. Jin Sakai is a really cool protagonist. I think that so far, at least, the game has a good amount of freedom in the way it lets me tackle some of the scenarios and situations that I come across. So, yeah, enjoying that. I think it's something that I kind of pick through from time to time and spend some time with because I don't want to rush through it in any way, shape, or form. It'll probably be a game that I play for a while. So, um, yeah, not really far enough to talk about anything major with that. I am hoping the combat gets a little more interesting because right now I feel like it's dull in a way, and that's one of the complaints that I heard about it a little bit later in the game too, which is unfortunate. I do feel like so maybe I'm about to like out myself as a massive video game idiot or something, but does that game have a lock-on system at all? I know it has a soft lock-on system when you're fighting enemies, but is there any way I can like hard
No.
lock onto somebody?
No,
I didn't think
not
so.
like Assassin's Creed. That was my one huge problem with that game.
Yeah, because when you're fighting a lot of dudes, it starts to become an issue. And if
It
you're
gets
fighting just
hard.
one dude, even sometimes I would love to just lock on to that single person and
Yeah, I
not
agree.
have to worry about it, you know? So,
Yeah, I mean that game's great. Like that game really made me care about the characters within it,
yeah.
more so than a lot of games I've played. So yeah, that game was great. The combat, I will say. So if you didn't know, there's like three different zones on the island. Because like
Okay.
throughout the game, you're making your way north essentially to get to like
It's
the
Crackdown.
overall.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, more or less. So like in that first zone, I was doing like every side quest, all the like finding all like the haiku locations, all that
Oh,
stuff.
sure.
And
Shrines
I
and
got
yeah.
so comfortable with like the combat system there, and like I was like, man, this game's like easy. Like I was like this yeah, this game's easy. Like this isn't gonna be fun if it's this easy. And then you go to the next zone, and like it's like learning a whole new game almost.
Really?
Like it's not that
Huh.
drastic, but it's like you got to learn a
Enough
lot,
of a change, yeah.
enough of a change where it's like, man, this game's beating my ass now. I know nothing. So
That's good to know, though. Like, because again, I feel like already I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I know the basic flow of combat, and 10 more hours from now, I'm gonna slay every person I come across. So knowing that there's a bit of a difficulty jump, it compels me a little bit more on that.
yeah, and then it does it again when you get to that third zone. So
Hmm.
it definitely gets more difficult as you go, but then once you start, unlocking the stuff and certain moves and stuff, it kind of eases up. But yeah, that
Interesting.
game's great. Did you do any multiplayer stuff at all?
No, I haven't touched the Legends stuff. I really want to because I heard it's very, very good
Yeah, it's fun.
in there. So, and it's free. So, of
Yeah,
course, I'm gonna mess with it.
I want to get back to it because at some point, I don't know when it'll be, who it'll be with. I want to do the raid in that game
I didn't know
in
there
the
was a raid.
multiplayer. Yeah, there's a
Oh
raid in the
man,
multiplayer. It has kind of like a loot grind similar to Destiny,
huh?
where you
Now you're
actually,
speaking my
yeah,
language. Go
exactly.
on. Yeah,
You have to get like a gear score of a certain, you know, level to be
Hmm,
able to get into the raid even and do it. So
interesting.
yeah, it's
Yeah, if I hang with it a little bit more, I would totally be game for that. I just don't have a lot of friends on PlayStation, so
neither do I. Mighty Mouse in chat says that he's always wanted to try the raid, so maybe he could help us out as well. I know
hey,
Kenny really wanted to do it when it first came out, but
ooh, that sounds like a fun time.
like I'm
Yeah,
saying, I don't know anybody on PlayStation. All my friends are on Xbox.
yeah. That's
So
yeah, same here. I rarely pay for PlayStation Plus because I don't play with anybody on
yeah,
my PlayStation. So, yeah. No, I would love to check that out. That sounds like a great time, honestly. They already have done so much for me in the way of just compelling characters, compelling situations. It really hooked me very quickly. And combat aside, I just want to tour the island, man. I just want to see the blossoms. I want to see the grass. I want to run around on my horse, and I'm perfectly content doing that for 30 hours.
you bought the
So
collector's edition, didn't you, with the mask?
I did. Because it's sick, man, and I love it.
I can't believe you bought that edition of the game and then never played it.
Hell yeah. Listen, man, when I during my GS days, I spent so much money on ridiculous things I didn't need. But I just had to have them, cool stuff's cool stuff. The mess. Shoot, yeah, it's right behind me. Let me grab it. There you go. You want to see the ghost mask? I got you the ghost mask
Look
right
at
there.
that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
How
Real
cool.
real sweet piece. It's very dusty on the base. You can see
Yeah,
all that.
I can
Yeah.
definitely see
I
that.
should probably dust my office more often.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the aesthetic of it, and I knew it was going to be something that I at least spent enough time with, because it came from Sucker Punch, and I I, I feel comfortable enough with Sucker Punch and their work in the past, to know that they would put out at least some kind of product worth playing, and it sounds like they really knocked it out of the park here. So, um, yeah, I'm gonna play more of it, and if I get anywhere meaningful, then we'll do the raid. We'll find some peeps. Maybe Mighty, you can join in, or I'm sure it'd be funny to laugh at Kenny the whole way through.
Yeah. Um I was gonna say one more thing. Oh yeah, the multiplayer is completely separate, so Like
Yeah.
story plays no impact. Your character doesn't carry over from the story. Nothing like that. So
Can you play that multiplayer stuff solo? Maybe that's a dumb question, but
yeah, you can. Yeah, I
like
think
I could jump in and grind by myself to try to get up to that level, and then we
yeah,
could,
I think it'll match make you as well
Oh,
with
sure.
randoms. So
Hmm. Interesting. Okay.
yeah, yeah, I definitely want to go back to that game. So maybe I will. But with
Let's do
that,
it.
we end episode 141 of the Pixel Street podcast. As always, follow us on Twitter at Pixel Street. Check out our pinned tweet to join our Discord server. We're going to be doing another game night here in the next few weeks, I'm sure, so stay tuned there. Yeah, check out our YouTube channel, Pixel Street Videos. We have videos going up weekly at this point with between the podcast and now we're doing guides, I guess, on the channel, which is like
We're like a week away from being an MLB channel. Just wait.
Yeah, yeah, for real. Me and John are gonna be posting our Let's Play series of going through a whole 5 game series in MLB The Show. Yeah, you can check me out on Twitter at Campo63 or twitch.tv/Campo63, where I stream the podcast live there as well as on our YouTube channel. Connor, where are you at on the internet?
Yeah, I'm on the internet at the real Birch. Birch like the tree without the I, BRCH. You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. Love to have you. Come hang out. I talk on Twitter sometimes. I also post pictures of my dog. I should probably put those in the Discord, right? Like we've got a specific channel
Yeah,
in
we
the
have
Discord
a
for
specific
pets.
channel for dogs.
So maybe I'll go upload a bunch of pictures here to that. But yeah, John and I are currently doing a playthrough of It Takes Two, latest game from Hayes Light and Joseph Ferris. Absolutely fantastic. If you're looking for a great co-op experience, I cannot believe how much I'm enjoying this game so far, and it'll probably end up somewhere on my Game of the Year list as long as the game stays consistent with where it's at now. So yeah, if you want to see some more of that, we have a few episodes up already. We're probably about halfway through it and hoping to finish it out here pretty soon. So yeah, check it out, see what you think. If you love it, if you hate it, whatever, I don't care. I'm on the internet anyway. You can't stop me, baby. Woo! This episode's done. Let's get out of here.
Coltrane, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be right back here next week for episode 142 of the Pixel Street podcast. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Love you. Eat your lunch. I don't know.
What? Eat your Wheaties.
Yes, eat your Wheaties. That's it. Yeah, drink your Ovaltine.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, ending the stream now. Bye.
Sweet.
Thanks for anybody who hung out in the Twitch chat here. I already ended the YouTube stream, so.
YouTube's dead.
Yeah, Piano Man in chat says hashtag eat your lunch. So there you have it. The official hashtag of the Pixel Street podcast.
That's it, man. Eat your lunch. That's, I have to remind myself that all the time, honestly. Because I'm notorious. It's actually breakfast. I never eat breakfast. It's the one I always skip. It's very bad. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah. I'm just
Gross,
chilling in
nasty
chat
stuff.
now. What are people playing tonight? Will, what are you playing tonight? You're always playing something.
Video games, probably.
He's been playing.
Did you see the
in VR?
Destiny news? The
What?
Forest? Oh, that's got VR?
Yeah. Oh, what?
Interesting.
What about Destiny?
The TWAB just came out. So this week at Bungie, it's like their weekly newsletter or whatever. They talked about armor transmog and how that whole system's going to work. So you'll be able to turn any piece of legendary gear into an ornament, so that you can then apply that ornament to any piece of legendary gear to make it look like a different piece of legendary gear, but retain the stats from the first piece or the piece that you're actually wearing. Yeah.
Legendary or exotic? What do you mean?
Legendary. So it's a fashion show. You just get to change how your character looks. So if you've got a piece of armor that you think looks cooler, but maybe you've got a different piece of armor that's got a way better stat roll that you'd like to have instead, you can turn the other one into an ornament and then make the other piece of armor look like that armor. But it's like 4 different currencies that they introduced. You get something from killing enemies, which you then have to go buy bounties with to earn something else, and then you take that to a thing to turn it into another piece of currency, which then gives you a thing to make your other armor into an ornament. It's really fucked up and entirely more convoluted than it needs to be, which is a bummer because transmog would have been real cool in that game. So, um, yeah,
Well,
silly weirdness. I don't know.
Apparently, this is still streaming to YouTube, so I thought it ended. So
Sweet.
I'm gonna have to
Here's
just
some
end the
bonus
stream
content.
completely. Yeah. Um, yeah. I'll talk to you guys later in the chat. Will, maybe I'll play The Forest if you got room for one more. I haven't played it yet, but I bought it, so
He's got it.
hit me up. Bye.